Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Dom from Lensprotogo and Lens Rentals, and welcome back to the channel. I'm super excited to bring you this week's video because this week I'm doing something I've wanted to try for a while, basically ever since the FX3 came out. And that's shoot a documentary project using the FX9 and the FX3 in combination as like an A-cam, B-cam setup. And like I said, I've wanted to do this ever since the FX3 was released because to me, it seems like the perfect fit for it. It's a small B-cam that would work really well on the side of like a main camera like this that you can very easily fly around and get inserts in B-roll with absolutely no compromise in quality. And that's exactly my plan for this little mini doc I have lined up to test these two cameras on. So that means I'm obviously going to use the FX9 as my main camera, utilizing its 6K image sensor and absolutely killer face detection autofocus. And then to really tie the edit together, I'm gonna get some nice slow-mo cinematic inserts using the FX3 in its 4K 120 FPS mode. Another thing I'm really excited for about this project, and not just because it's going to save me tons of time in color grading, but on both of these cameras, I'm going to be shooting in the S Cinetone picture profile, which is pretty much exclusive to the Sony FX line right now, and this is going to be great because my footage is going to have a graded look straight out of camera, but still have a lot of flexibility in post. Lastly, this is worth mentioning too, even though I'm not going to do it, but the FX3 is capable of getting professional audio in there if you attach the top handle with dual XLR extension. And I think that's a big plus for a B-cam on a larger shoot. I'm just not doing that today because I wanted this Rode Stereo Mic Pro on there and that has to take the hot shoe. Speaking of that, before I roll this documentary and the behind the scenes footage, I want to quickly talk about how I have these cameras built up and what I plan on doing with them once I'm on my shoot. Okay, so I'll start with my FX9 build, and the first decision was hardly a decision at all. It was more like a no-brainer, but that was to use this 28-135 f4 servo lens. I've used these servo lenses a lot in the past shooting on the FS7, and I've really grown to love getting those slow zoom shots. That, and these lenses are also very sharp, autofocus quickly, render color nicely, and most importantly, the side grip on the FX9 is tethered to the zoom of the lens, making operating this whole system just a dream. I don't have to worry about dropping NDs in front of this lens because the FX9 has an awesome internal ND system. For audio, I have a shotgun mic mounted on top here, and next to that, I have a receiver for my wireless lab, which I'm obviously going to use to mic up my interview subject, and the shotgun is going to be great for just general directional sound. And lastly, I sort of mentioned this before, but this side handle for this FX9 rig is an essential part of this build for me. Just because being able to operate the zoom and hit record all from my right hand is super helpful, especially in a documentary scenario. And that's it for my main camera setup, which is honestly pretty bare bones compared to what it could be. There's no wireless follow focus or wireless video coming out of this camera, so that was kind of the idea I had for this shoot. I wanted to go in and let the cameras pull most of the weight. Which brings me to my FX3 setup, which is also very bare bones. I mean, you're pretty much looking at it. I was planning on getting this FX3 on a Ronin RS2 because I absolutely love that gimbal, but then I kind of thought about it for a little bit and realized that 95% of the stuff I take on this camera is going to be in 4K 120 anyways and super slowed down, so I didn't know if I was actually going to need the gimbal, and it's going to be one less piece of gear to get out on location. So for lenses for this B-cam setup, the main one I had in mind I figured out before I even knew this documentary was happening, but it's this awesome Zeiss CP3 85mm for Sony E-mount. An excellent cine lens that comes in a very small package, so perfect for the FX3. But I'm also going to bring the 16-35 G Master for safety. Lastly, you'll notice I have a Rode Stereo Mic Pro on top here, and this is going to be great to just get general ambient stereo audio when I'm shooting in 24. Okay, so that's my camera setup, just A-cam, B-cam. You're like looking at it. I'm not bringing any lights because the whole point of this was to see how these cameras deal in a documentary scenario, and to me, that means dealing with the available light. Okay, so now that we're all caught up there, I'm gonna roll this final project and maybe some behind the scenes of us creating it. And then when we get back, I'm gonna talk all about my experience using the FX9 and the FX3 as an A-cam, B-cam setup.
I never take the time to get a setup outside like this. So when I do, it's just like way better because I'm usually just sweating inside in my studio, wishing I was outside. I'm probably just gonna let the airfield inspire me. There's a certain order of operations I'll follow in terms of putting down the paint. So kind of taking the experiences that I've had from doing it in the past and trying to pivot that to whatever the hell I do right now. I think why I kind of gravitate more towards abstract pieces is because most of the things that you would do in art class were very prescriptive, and it's like draw this or do that, and at least in the experiences that I had, and whereas this is open for interpretation. So this is a deep turquoise. Yeah, it's a nice backdrop for all the splatter that's gonna go on there. One of the other keys is with the squeeze bottles that I have, making the roses with the same color. So at the end, when you throw the paint, it's almost like the roses are exploding. It's the way I make sense of things, taking concepts that bother me every day or things that I think about, and just translating it into an abstract form that makes sense to me, and that's really all that matters. Yeah. It's a nice benefit though that other people can relate to it, and it's helped me connect with people in a different way that I've never been able to connect with them before. I'm getting to a point now where I'll transition over into putting roses on it. Cool. And then when that happens, we can turn the music off and do whatever. How's it going?
Howdy. What's going on?
Just painting?
Painting?
Yes, sir.
No, no problem.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
No, just come see what's going on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, you're welcome to stay. Essentially.
Oh, wow. Let's see.
These are two from the first one I ever did, two of my favorites.
Wow.
The flowers just kind of came about randomly. I've always been attracted to roses. I've made, before I was really painting, I had made some shirt designs with them. And I just so happened across them in the arts and crafts store and had an idea. And it's kind of expanded from there into what you see now. The way we're gonna round this one out is I'll do 2 more blue colors to go on like the neutral or like the brown and the yellow. And then I'm gonna give it a whack, some more paint, and then it's gonna be it. You just kind of make up rules as you go. Abstract as it is, there's sort of a rule base that builds on itself as you go, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna do this with this color and nothing more. You try to stick within that, because as soon as you start to deviate is when things start to go crazy. But I think the key is, and where I started to like really turn a corner is, when things do deviate as they naturally do, you just kind of pull yourself back and think about it for a second and then like pivot. You see here, so if you look close, you see how there's like this line right here is from the rose, and you see how it like disrupted the paint. I like how the dark turquoise pops on the back. I'm gonna use that more often. My baseline reaction for like good enough is I don't hate it, because I
despise it.
Yeah, even if I despise it too, sometimes I'll stop and just come back and be like, all right, I like that. It's all right. Like, and because it's so subjective, like you never know who else will like it. I think one of the keys that keeps it fun for me is that it's less about if it's good or if it's bad. It was. I mean, that was today's session. Not good, not bad, just is.
Wow.
Okay, so I hope you liked that little mini documentary social media piece that was shot using the FX9 and the FX3 in an A-cam, B-cam setup. So if you have any questions about the compatibility of the Sony FX9 with the Sony FX3, especially on a documentary shoot like I did, drop a comment in the comment section below and we'll start a discussion. Also, if you happen to like this video, hit that thumbs up button down below to let me know you liked it. And if you're not already, subscribe to the channel. And if you are subscribed, you can hit that bell button down below to be notified whenever we post new content. So take care, and we'll see you in the next one.